The Joe Rogan Experience.
I had a joke that in the old set that he'll probably be retired now that we're not doing stand-up for 8 weeks.
At least 8 weeks, man. How
Can you
long
believe
is it
that?
going to be? It's probably going to be several months before
June?
Easily. Could be longer. It could be, maybe they find medication that even though there's not a vaccine, there's some hope for a few different kinds of medication. One of them is a malaria drug. I can't pronounce the name off the top of my head. And there's another one that shows promise as well. And they think that it might be possible that people could catch this, then you would give them the medication, it would wipe it out. There was some speculation about Tamiflu, but I don't think there's any conclusive evidence that shows that Tamiflu helps it. But there is these anti-malarial medications I think that they think has promise. But what concerns me is that it seems to be so different with different people. That's what's weird about this. It makes it's like what's scary right now for everybody is the unknown. Like we're in the unknown. Like now we've never been in this situation before as a culture. We're on lockdown and the whole world is scared of a disease. Not in our lifetimes. I mean, not since like the Spanish flu. And back then there wasn't as much transportation. There wasn't as much distribution of information. So people probably weren't as aware as we are now, of all of the various cases all around them all the time. Because, we're hearing about cases in Italy and fucking Australia, everywhere. We're hearing about cases all over the planet. I don't think that was the case back during the Spanish flu days. I think it was probably harder to understand what was happening, right? Because you probably only got the newspaper and the radio back then, and everybody had to huddle around at a certain time, and those are the masters of information. Whatever they said, that was it. But now you get all sorts of conflicting information, even from doctors, man. I've read doctors that think it's nothing, and then I've read doctors that were terrified. It's like, whoa, this is nuts. And then, you look at, I don't know if you've been paying attention to what these senators did. There's some senators, they had a behind closed doors meeting about the coronavirus in China and what it could mean to the United States and, the various impacts. And they went out and sold their stock.
Immediately.
Dude. And then, but at the same time, they were talking about how under control the government had it and how we're prepared and how it's going to be fine. And meanwhile, they knew. They knew. So they had two faces. They had a public face that they were given to us to try to keep us calm. And then they had a private face which realized that the stock market was going to take a huge loss. And so they sold everything and made immense profits based on the information that they found out from these closed-door meetings about the coronavirus.
How are they supposed to?
How is that legal?
How are they supposed to handle, though, out of, legally, what are they supposed to do? Because that makes confusing.
I don't know what constitutes insider trading. How does that work? Do you understand how that works? Like if you have information that can allow you to make money, well, isn't that like what everyone's trying to do? Like what is the point of playing the stock market if you don't know things? And if you do know things, if you know more because you know the guy who's the president and he tells you something about something they're going to do and you're not supposed to trade then because of that information, like, all right, okay, I'm sure there's a logic to it. I'm a moron. Don't run it by me. But if that's insider trading, well, what is it what the senators do? If they knew that the coronavirus was going to wreck our economy, if they knew that it was coming down like a fucking storm of hail that no one could stop, if they knew, and then they bailed out and made immense profits, that seems so shady. It seems so shady that they didn't advise people. Like, you're supposed to be a leader, right? If you're in a position, an elected representative, you're supposed to be acting in the position of a leader. And if your way to lead is tell people one thing but act in a completely different direction, tell people everything's going to be fine, but then start selling your stock at a profit, and you don't tell other people to do it because you're worried that maybe that information is going to cause some ripple effect and it's going to destroy the economy even before the coronavirus hits, just out of panic and fear, and people are going to act wrong. But you acted in a different way than the way you were talking. You acted like this shit was going to be real. You acted like this is going to be a real problem. And then the question is, like, how much of a problem did they think it was going to be? Maybe they dumped their stock. They thought it was going to be a little problem. Would that be okay? Well, but if they found out it was going to be a huge problem, then it's not. Well, that seems weird to me, too. Like, I don't know what should the rules be with information in the stock market. The stock market is gross. Like, it's the whole thing's gross. Like, what are we basing our economy on? This fucking madness?
This isn't. It's not. It's not the way that the 2009 breakdown was. 2008, when the stock market crashed, it was based on literal numbers and investments.
This is real.
Based. No. I would actually say that one was more real than this one. This is the stock market's crashed in a way that you're going like, it's based on. I mean, I know that it's for commercial businesses. Their loans are going to come up and it's going to be tough for them. But at some point, you're like, I wish you could just put it on freeze and go, hey, let's come back in like 2 months and let's start where we were. Let's make sure everyone was fed. Like that's.
But Bert, this is the ultimate real, because if it's supposed to be about confidence and things rising and falling, this is like the ultimate expression of that. There's no confidence. You can't work.
Yeah,
of course it's going to crash.
Yeah, you're right.
If it doesn't crash here, then it's nonsense.
Yeah.
Then what's the point? Because there's times where everything's groovy. People are buying like crazy. Manufacturing is up. Everything's up. Everybody's happy. Consumer satisfaction's up. And people are buying like crazy. And there's so many industries that are happening. And there's so many jobs. And unemployment's the lowest rate it's ever been, ever, in the history of people. And then all of a sudden it's not anymore. Well, of course it's going to crash. So it's going to crash. This is the crash. This is the big one. This is the big one of our lifetime, maybe the biggest one ever. Because this shit could go on for a long-ass time.
This is scary, too, because you think of all those people just like who are paycheck to paycheck, you know, with waiting tables or teaching a spin class or whatever it is. That's where my brain goes, is like, how come there's got to be a way to fucking help people?
Yeah, there does.
I mean, that's all I do all day is spend, like, the other day I hit at McDonald's. I was like, say there's a way to buy a bunch of Happy Meals I could send to a neighborhood.
You could do that with certain restaurants. You could support restaurants. One of my favorite restaurants in Vegas, Gaetano's, is in Henderson. And they used to be in Calabasas. We used to go to them way back in the day. But they're doing a lot of takeout, and then they're also raising money for their employers, which is very nice.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the store is doing something like that. We're all going to donate for the wait staff. You know, because the wait staff is completely shit out of luck, and they were doing, you know, good business down there. And so those folks, I'm sure they have bills, like serious fucking bills. And it's just piling up, and there's no business. You know, I mean, they went from having this great place where you can go and you can count on X amount of money per week to all of a sudden gone, and no one saw it coming. That's never happened, ever. No. You can't blame them for not being prepared, but, you know, they're part of our comedy family, man. We gotta take care of them, particularly at the store. We should set up something for the Improv too, and we should also, you know, just figure out a way to, you know, to like find out who's hurting, like who's in trouble, like, especially in our community, like comics that we know.
People are too proud.
Well, I know, but we'd have to find them though, because there's a lot of comics in our community that like they're going check to check too. You know, middle acts.
Yeah,
you know, that
headliners.
Yeah, there's a lot of headliners, right? Particularly first few year headliners, where you're only making, you know, X amount per week, and you know you got to pay your own flight and all that jazz. You're getting by, but you're not killing it. And then you probably have a fucking apartment that costs $2,000 a month or more. You know, I mean, New York City, those guys. The fucking apartments in New York City are ridiculous.